When getting himself elected, President Milei managed to mobilize a huge part of the youth vote. Young people felt their future opportunities were being smothered by Kirchnerist socialism, and that the libertarian Milei offered a more optimistic alternative. So 10 months down the road, how does that youth vote feel now? Unemployment in Argentina is currently running at 7.7%, but among 18 to 25-year-olds it's much higher at over 20%. In addition, a higher proportion of young people, some 57%, are working in informal or unregistered jobs, in contrast to some 36% of the general population. Informal work is usually cash in hand, and so, of course, it's untaxed. On top of, or perhaps because of this, Argentina has the worst expectations of job generation in the whole world. The government's program of austerity is shrinking the economy. With less money in their pockets, people are spending less, production is falling, and companies are not employing new workers, or laying off existing employees, or even shutting their doors completely. Government studies show that almost 10,000 small and medium-sized companies have been lost in 2024, with the consequent loss of some 265,000 jobs. And along with the commercial sector, industrial production has slowed by 20 to 25%, with all the layoffs that's led to. Argentina has the highest level of English speakers across Latin America, and a well-educated population with a high proportion of graduates and scientists, but businesses are simply not coming or investing yet. President Milei has put in place many new statutes to attract investment, but it isn't going to happen overnight. Trust, transparency, and most of all stability all take time to grow. Meanwhile, that youth vote sits and waits for some economic miracle. On Wednesday, university students set up classes in the streets outside their universities to draw attention to the ongoing and growing conflict between the academic community and the government. Public universities are grossly underfunded due to a combination of inflation and austerity. There's been stories of faculties closing down toilet facilities because of a lack of cleaning staff, and even turning off elevators to save electricity. Congress recently voted an increase to the university's budgets for pay, maintenance and equipment, but Milei used his presidential veto to block the bill, and the veto was later upheld by lawmakers in the Congress. Professors and lecturers are beginning to look for jobs elsewhere or simply quit their positions, and in the last few weeks there's been a couple of large demonstrations in support of better funding for higher education. Additionally, students at a number of public universities have occupied faculty buildings, strikes have taken place, and more are planned. President Milei says that he's firm in his decision not to increase the budget as part of his plan to balance the national deficit. However, the Congressional Budget Office has estimated that the increased university funding would only represent 0.14% of GDP. Milei further claims that a lot of current university funding is not fully accounted for, and he's demanding an independent audit of spending at the faculties, saying that they refuse audits because their hands are dirty. Contrary to the claims of protesters, Milei says that he doesn't want to remove the students' rights to free university education, but that education isn't really free. Taxpayers, including those who never used the public higher education system, are expected to pay for it and have a right to know how their money is being spent. President Milei himself paid for his education from his own pocket at the private University of Belgrano. Capturing or maintaining a grip on that ever-elusive youth vote could simply be a matter of redefining youth. Christina Kirchner did it by lowering the voting age to 16 and cashing in on the support of La Campora youth movement. Now Milei's party, La Libertad Avanza, is looking at a similar move by lowering the voting age to 13. The logic is that if the age of criminal consent can be brought down to 13, then those being bound by the law should have a say in those who make the law. It seems quite likely that the age of criminal consent will be lowered to 13. Currently set at 16, it's much higher than any other Latin American country and fails to reflect the realities of modern society, politicians say. Argentine laws around the treatment of minors for crime were drawn up over 40 years ago and are no longer fit for purpose. It is true that children are sometimes used by gangs to commit crimes on their behalf, knowing that they will receive little or no punishment, but the reality of how much this actually happens is the subject of much debate. The media tend to sensationalize the story of a young teenager caught on camera robbing or threatening someone, or God forbid committing murder, and politicians will use the story to their own ends. But real statistics suggest that only a tiny proportion of crime is committed by kids. Lowering the age of criminal responsibility has more to do with appearing to be tough on security, a major concern during the election, rather than solving a problem that may or may not actually exist. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, there's a couple of videos on the screen now. If you're not already subscribed, you might want to do that too. If you want to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee in the link below. And until next time, que tengas un buen día.